Hi everyone, my name is Stressball and today we are back in Happy Wheels Editor for another tutorial. Now I won't be saying too much about how many tutorials I will upload in the near future. I'm aiming for 3 a week for now. I'm working very hard on getting that consistent again so that I can say stuff like, oh, I'll do it every Tuesday and Friday, like for instance. But for now we're just gonna keep it at 3 tutorials a week until I finally get a new good upload schedule figured out. And in the meantime, we're gonna do some cool tutorials. So this is the first episode of the Advanced Tutorial series. Today we're gonna talk about how to make a realistic looking face. And I didn't really have an example saved yet, but I do have this one. This is me with a Pokédex, some Pokéballs, and a few Pokemon. We're gonna have a quick talk about how to make art look more realistic before we get into the practical part, which is actually creating the face. And that way I want to try to teach you how to make a realistic looking face. I think with a bit of practice and with my help, you're probably able to make a cool looking face in Happy Wheels pretty fast. So the essential question you have to ask yourself when doing this is, when does stuff look realistic? What is it that makes things look realistic? Well, first of all, I think that your color choice is very important, and secondly, that goes very much with another concept that I think is really important for when stuff looks realistic, which is shading. Now, shading and color choice are pretty close linked to each other. Because whenever you start shading something, you shade it in the same color but darker. A really good example of this, which is also why I chose this creation right here, is my shirt. If you look at it from a bit of a distance, you can actually see the wrinkles in my shirt, and it looks as if your light source is actually over here and then shining. This could be the sun shining in my back, and then obviously a shadow is created here because some parts of the shirt are overlaying other parts, and you can see that it's a bit white. And that is why it looks a bit more realistic, it looks a bit more 3D. Same goes for my arms, where you can very clearly see that the parts that are exposed to the sun more get light parts, and the parts that are in the shadow gets colored darker. Now, the same principle applies to, for instance, when you want to make a rectangle look 3D, which is just, you pick your color, then you get a darker one and make the shadow side, just for the sake of example, so very quick, and then you make your upper part. I don't think the perspective is very, well, whatever. This looks 3D. See, although these things are very similar, this looks a lot like, what's this shape called in English? A sextagon, I guess? It's like a pentagon plus 1. So you see that shadow makes a really big difference. This is just a flat thing, maybe something viewed from above, where this is actually 3D. Now you may be thinking, does this work for your face as well? And the answer is yes. So here's another part of the example. I'm going to click a video of mine just to show you how shadow influences my face. Now obviously the light was coming from the front here, but you can definitely see this line over here. You can see this part's a bit darker. It's also because of my beard, but well, let's say it is on the right of my face. There's clearly a very dark spot here. So you can see all those dark spots, and those are what make my face 3D. Even though you're viewing it on a flat screen, you're seeing a 2D thing move, but you're perceiving it as 3D, and that's why it looks realistic. Okay, we're gonna start from scratch. I'm gonna take it slow, so let me go ahead and delete all of these so that we can show you the whole process. So first of all, we're gonna pick my skin color, and I'm not going to start with my actual skin color. I'm going to select a bit of a lighter version of that. Then we're gonna go down and select my actual skin color. This is just an estimate I'm doing, so it's not like this is my true skin color. I'm just guessing a little bit, but this seems to be roughly what my skin color should be. I think this is a bit too dark. You don't want to have too much distinction between the two. There you go. Next up, we're going to go for my hair. So probably a bit like this. This would be the bright one, and then we have a darker shade of hair, and then this is probably the darkest. So as you can see, I'm already, before we start drawing the face, I already have my color palette ready so that we don't have to worry about that. What else does my face have? Well, I have pink, red lips, so that's the kind of color you want, I guess. There's probably some darker details on my face, like the eyebrows and that stuff. Really dark shadow, so we're gonna select a darker skin color for the sake of having that. And then my t-shirt, which is blue currently. So as you can see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 colors that make up me, my face, my shirt. It's a lot more than just skin color, lips, eyes, whatever. It's a lot of colors. So first of all, what we're gonna do is we're gonna draw the outline of my face, which looks like my face goes down a pretty straight line, I guess, and then we're gonna have the chin right here. Now, realize that the first attempt is probably going to mess up and you're going to have to adapt a lot of stuff. But anyway, this is my chin going here, and then this is so hard to get right, but I think I'm doing it right, I'm not sure. Then we go up, and we should be roughly at the hair here. And then the hair is going to cover the rest of the face, so don't worry too much about getting this right. Usually what I do is just curve and finish. So this is the shape of my face. Now, next up, we're going to add a neck as well. And adding a neck is pretty simple if you ask me. What you do is you go to the corner here, so the transition from your face to your chin, and you stay around this place, and then what you do is you click that, and then you click about here, and you push down. That's what you want to do, you push down. If your neck is a bit wider, you can go a bit more like this. If your neck is a bit smaller, you can go like this. Depends on the angle you want to have as well. And then because you're already pushed down, you can get a nice curve over here. And then, I guess, click it away. This is going to be covered up by my shirt. So again, just round it off. And then, because we're starting from here, we have to start the curve over here. So push there, and then we have this go. I think this is too wide for my neck, I'm not sure, we're just gonna go with it. And you end on the same spot that you started on the other side, and connect. Now as you can see, we have the neck and we have the face, but you can't see the chin anymore. So what we're gonna do now, we're gonna go ahead and give this the darker color. Hold control, push down, and now the neck is more visible on the other side. Maybe even just give it a completely different color. I suggest giving it a bit of a weak color, because if you're gonna go ahead and give it a really strong color, it looks very hard to draw over, it's a bit distracting. And if you give it a very dark color, you can barely see what you're drawing there. So I would just suggest going with something like this. So for now, this is my neck. So now that we have the neck in a different color, we can start adding the distinction between the chin and the neck, which is usually done with a slightly darker color under the neck. So I'm gonna go ahead and select the darkest one, and then we have that thingy over there, and all the way up to here, and then we're gonna follow the neck there. Shadow is going to be positioned at the left side for this example. So this is my neck shadow. Now select both of these by clicking, holding shift and clicking again, then hold control and press the down key, and then you can move it back. And then we can change this to the regular color. And as you can see, we have already the part of the chin visible here because we added some shadow there. Now if you don't have a beard, so there's no clear distinction between your chin and your neck, you can just draw a very, very, very thin line, like so. And then connect it to the neck. And this is going to be shadow as well. So this is just if you don't have a beard, but still want to show that distinction. That works like this. So there's no beard here to see, but it's just the shadow under there. For me now it's not necessary because you don't need to show that distinction because it is already done by the beard. So next up we're going to select the beard color and use that. Don't worry too much about drawing the hair. You can always do that later, but for now it actually, believe me, it looks good enough if you just draw the color of the beard. Also because you're probably going to see the face from a bit further away than we are looking at it now. If you look at the size of the character, this is probably, about this is roughly the size that it's going to be. So we're zooming in currently, so it seems more important than it actually is. Okay, so the beard stays close to the edge here, and then here it gets a bit wider. I think that looks a bit messy. There we go. So that's the beard over there. It's not too impressive, of course, but that's good enough. And then over here continues as well. I took an angle where you see the front of my face, so it's not really a very important feature in this picture. And then we change the face back to its original color. And as you can see, we can already start seeing my face a little bit. I look a bit like an old man because it's because I'm bald and this is the only part of hair that's on my face yet. We could already start drawing the hair, but I prefer starting out with the eyes, the nose, and the mouth first. Little helping guide for you if you need it. Just pick a vague color. Eyes are always roughly around the middle of the face, and then the nose is on the other middle. And then, if you were to divide the face into 3 parts, actually 4, sorry, with 3 lines, then the mouth is going to be located right on this divider. So you can delete this one, it's not necessary. Now, a good tip I have for you here is don't draw outlines of the eyes, actually only try to draw the shadow of things you're seeing. So for instance, I think these are my eyes. This is the part under my eyes, and this is the part above my eye. I think over here we're gonna have the eyebrow straight away, so don't bother too much. And then, actually the whole thing here is a bit darker, so I'm just gonna go ahead and do this. Feel free to adjust things if you don't feel really good about it. For instance, it's a bit small over here. It feels more right if I place it like this, I think, and a bit wider. That's better. Now what you could do is just copy the whole thing, reverse it, and then place it back here. The problem is though that usually if your face is at an angle, then the left eye is probably bigger because of perspective. So I'm gonna start drawing again. So my left eye looks different in this picture. Which is pretty common, and it's also why people usually don't understand that even though one eye looks pretty good, the other one doesn't really look good. It is because, yeah, they just look different. You're flexing different muscles in your eyes, so maybe one is smaller than the other. I think this looks about right. I think, yeah, that's good enough. So as you can see, drawing eyes is really... This is what I have for the eyes right now. I think it's better. This is a personal preference, of course, but I think it's better to have the boundaries first. Okay, here's another piece of advice I'm going to give you. Try to stay true to the picture. So look at your picture, look at what's actually going on in there instead of trying to come up with symbols. For instance, I know that an eye is usually symbolized like this, so that's what I'm gonna draw. That's going to give you a very cartoony look, and we want to have the realistic style as far as that's possible in Happy Wheels, because you're still going to get cartoony, of course. But yeah, so we're kind of lucky here. I forgot my eye color, but luckily I have brown eyes, which really helps here. There we go, and on the other side, boom. Then move those behind there. They're not supposed to be in front. And finally, there we go, and you can just copy that one. It's not that important how that looks, and move it behind there, and there we go. I look like I'm very suspicious right now, but that is because I'm squinting my eyes a little bit for the sun. Later in the picture, you'll see my mouth having a kind of genuine smile, the eyebrows emphasizing the fact that I'm looking happier. So even though your facial expression isn't right at the start, don't change it yet until your thing is fully finished. Don't worry too much about that. Because I have a white skin, usually the darker tones tend to be nice eyebrow colors. I don't know how that works for people that have another skin. I can imagine that if you were working with a bit of a darker skin, the eyebrows would instantly get darker as well. I'm not sure if that fits. You could also just pick a separate color for the eyebrows. Do whatever works for you. Also, notice that your eyebrows definitely make a difference when it comes to your facial expression. Which means that if you draw them too much like this, you're gonna look very angry. And if you draw them too much like this, you're gonna look rather insecure or scared. Place them a bit like this in the middle and you look just fine. Okay. This is a bit too angry. There we go. Also try to just stay true to the picture again. And there we go. I was squinting a little bit, so you can see that with this. This is kind of like your squint muscle showing, I think. Now usually what tends to happen with the nose is that it instantly goes into the eyebrows like this. So you have a part over there, and then you have the other part right over there. That's an easy trick you can use to draw the nose, as well as just drawing a straight line here. And then you have a pretty decent outline of your nose. So I'm going to remove these, and we're going to actually start applying shadow to draw the nose. Now I have a rather long nose, so I think most people have a smaller and shorter nose. Keep that in mind when you're using this for an example. But I think this looks right. And you can also start adding this to the eyebrows. I hope this is gonna work because it should transition right into the eyebrows. And then into the eye, like so. That's about right, I think. Yeah. So you can see the shape of the nose forming there already. Let's see what else. We've got this part, the lower part of the nose, which also deserves a bit of shadow, like so. And then the right part of my nose doesn't seem to have a lot of shadow. I'll add it here for the sake of making clear that my nose is going there. Sometimes there is not shadow in the picture, but you can still add it to emphasize outlines. So for instance, when you draw a tree on paper with only a dark pencil, you're basically only drawing outlines. So that's what we're doing here. Next up, I'm going to go ahead and remove these already. And this is going to start looking a bit better. I'm going to use the darkest color for the nostrils. Is that the word for the nose gaps? I'm gonna look it up. I was right, they are called nostrils. And on my picture there's a vague bit of shadow over here, which is caused by my cheek. I'll show you in a bit. Okay, so make sure that's actually visible. So my cheek is over here, which casts the shadow in this position. For most shadows there's an explanation as to why they are actually there. Also there's a lot of shadow on this part of my face, but for now we'll just have it like this. Brighter color to emphasize that the nose is sticking out a bit. There's a lot less shine in the actual picture, but this really helps emphasizing the nose. Are there other parts, maybe the part under the eye here, that can get a bit of bright color? And that's it for now. Okay, is the nose finished? It looks okay like this. Okay, next up, I'm gonna go ahead and actually draw the mouth. Now, here's another quick tip I can give you. Lips are not drawn like this. These are not lips. As well as these are usually not the lips you want to go for, but the perfect one is round at the top, like so, and then curved on the bottom. That's the lips you want to go for. Obviously, stay true to that kind of smile shape of your mouth. It usually is in a smile shape, so I'm gonna go ahead and draw that first. Now, as you can see, this looks off a bit. It's missing something. So that's what we're gonna add now. We're gonna add those kind of bridge looking lip things at the top. Don't make them too big, like so. If you're a boy and you make your lips look too big, you're probably gonna look more like a girl. And then at the bottom over here, like so. So the thing going down here is not going down across the whole thing, it's kind of hanging there in the middle. There we go. I'm gonna move this down a little bit up. This is hard. It really is. Yeah. Yeah, I think we're okay. If you start adapting stuff, make sure things are still in proportion. Next up, we choose our lighter lip part, and that is going to do it for, well, showing the 3D in the lips. So over there, and then a bit at the top here. There we go. And then, just go ahead and select a really dark one for the mouth. And then just kind of draw it through. If your mouth is opened, you can draw teeth. If your mouth is not opened, you should probably not draw teeth. Like so. There we go. We have a pretty realistic looking mouth over there. I'm happy with that. Maybe the things I have here makes my face look a bit more chubby, and I think that looks more realistic. See, I'm not that chubby, but yeah, this looks more like me. You could draw your perfect self, of course. If that's what you're after, then go for it, sure. And like so, see, that's way too wide. It just looks off. Yeah. Okay, that is good. My mouth is not that wide. Small changes. Don't go too overboard with your changes. You can see a bit of these spiky things over here and then over here as well, but if you zoom out, there's no way you're gonna notice that, so don't worry. Ears, Rick. Ears. We're gonna draw ears. Ears are fun to draw because they're very technical things. You usually do the same thing with ears. They have pretty common shapes. So the first thing you want to do is your ear consists of two parts. It's the upper part here, which is really easy to draw. You just do a nice little curve there, curve of shadow, and that you have your upper part. And then your lower part is going to be some kind of gap, I guess. So this is where your earlobe is at, so that's where you go up. Then you go down again, and then you go back up. That's an ear. It's not too realistic, but I think this will do for my ear. Next up, we're gonna add the bright colors. So over here, your earlobe, go in there, and is that correct? Maybe a bit of a curve over there. Yeah, that's fine. And then I think all the way at the top would be a nice place just to show some light going on there. There we go. So that's one ear. If you're feeling lazy, copying your ears to the other side doesn't show too much. So there we go. Make sure that if you are copying things, watch out to not destroy the proportion. I think this is right. I'm gonna move this a bit more here, and that's good. Still doesn't really look like me. I think mainly also because I should move the mouth down a bit more to there. Yeah, that looks a bit better. Okay, cancel that. Actually, just move this back up. Yeah, I think we're good to go like that. My chin isn't that big. Okay. So next up, we're going to do the hair, which is a fun one. And it's also quite easy. So we're going to start with the normal color. And drawing hair is basically just... what you're doing most of the time is drawing curves like this. So if you want to go from this place to like here, don't do this. Also, don't do this. What I recommend is that somewhere in the middle you push and then you come back there. And then you have that nice hairy look. So this is where my hair goes roughly, and then I'm going to go over here. And we have a small hair going there. I sometimes draw myself in Happy Wheels just to practice. There we go. Don't worry too much about filling everything in. I'm just going to go over the head right now and leave out the hairstyle. So just do that. And come back there. So that's already looking like something. Doesn't look like me too much, basically because it's not my hairstyle at all. So what we're going to do to fix that is start over here and then add some of these things to make my hair look a bit more messy. My hair is usually messier than this. I think that will do. Okay, let's see how that looks. Could be that I drew it too messy. No, that's okay. Also, what I noticed is that my cheeks are way too wide. Could be because of the beard. Not sure, but I'm gonna adapt that as well. So like this. And then should go along. Sometimes it takes up some time to adapt to what you actually look like. Don't worry too much about that. Okay, now I think the hair should be a bit more like so, and then move this up. You can also select whole parts of your creation, so double click, then select things and drag them up, and of course fill that in. We don't want to look bald. Okay, now if you're wondering why the face looks a bit off, it's probably because the proportions are a bit off. For instance, this distance doesn't match up with this distance at all. I think we can solve that by just moving the neck though. No, that's not. My face is a bit longer. Again, I'm going to move all the stuff down. So don't be afraid to do some of those adaptations. If it makes you look more realistic, then go for it. Yeah, that looks a bit more like me. Okay, I could probably infinitely improve until it looks perfectly like me, but for now, that's fine. Also, you can see that this one crossed. What I mean by that is that this line went through the other one. You can really see that if I move it even more. So you can just solve that by changing either this or just moving the thing as a whole. And then this gap could probably leave. Yeah. Sure. What's next? We're gonna add more shadow. But this time we're gonna be a bit more subtle. So go to your shadow color and make it a bit more subtle by removing a bit of darkness. So it's only a bit dark and not completely dark. This is the front of my chin, so that's why it's going a bit like that. Then it's going under my mouth over here. I'm talking about the shadow, by the way. Then the shadow goes under my nose, like so. There's a thingy, sort of pit under my nose. Then it goes around the nose, up there, all the way here, and then finally there's also a bit of shadow on my forehead. There we go. And then you can hide that behind the beard. I noticed that the beard is a bit, it has moved a little bit. So I'll throw this behind all the facial features by holding Control down. There we go. And now move the beard back into place. I see I messed up a little bit. And as you can see, this is looking really 3D. I like that. Yeah, I think it's still too shadowy. Make it less shadowy. That's a bit better. Now we're gonna add some bright stuff. Also make it a bit more subtle. There we go. Starting off with the chin over here. It's just going to be a very, very small part. There we go. Next up, we really need some light, sorry, not shadow, on the nose there. Actually give that, yeah, there we go. Should be a bit smaller. And connect it to that thing. There we go. Now we're gonna take our subtle lighting again. Going over my forehead here. And then all the way behind there. And you don't have to be that precise, just move around a little bit until you think, okay, that looks okay-ish. And I think this looks okay-ish. Gonna move it back. There we go. Now it actually looks pretty 3D. Good job. My eyes look a bit too squinted. I'm gonna change that up. I'm not happy with that. Don't be so squinted eyes. Yeah, that's good enough. Maybe these are too big. know if that's going to change anything. Next up, we're going to detail the hair, starting with the bright parts. So just look at the parts of your hair that look a bit brighter. And usually what happens with hair shading is that it kind of zigzags up in the way that I'm doing now. Although hair zigzags are not like actual zigzags, so it's not the sharp lines. But try to draw hairs zigzagging up. And as you can see, that's going to look a bit more realistic. Now with only one shading, that looks really shitty, but believe me, if you start adding more stuff like this, so there's a bit of bright spot over there, and this one has a bright spot over here. We have some bright stuff going on over there. Also make sure to not draw only one hair. For example, like this. That just looks really weird. It's acceptable, I think, actually, now looking at it, but still a bit odd. And then the darker part of the hair. Sometimes it's just a whole part instead of some hair here and there. There we go. And a bit over here. That's also a bit darker. And I'm going to leave the rest like it is. We need some brighter parts on the neck here. There we go. Really nice. So I'm just checking my face right now. I don't think we forgot anything, which means we can move on to the shirt. We're gonna go ahead and start at the top here. Usually what you can do is you go to the neck. Then you go to the shoulder. This is roughly where the shoulder is. I think the shoulder is about here, but this is where it starts. So you go to the neck, you go to the shoulder, and then in the middle, in the curve here, this is where you start. Then you go to your chin, move down, click and hold, move to the side, until where you want to look at is this part. So this curve over here. So I'm going to do it again. Look at the curve and just tell yourself, okay, so this is good. And then, boom. And what you can do now is try to like continue your shirt over here. I'm just gonna go ahead and finish it off there. Doesn't have to be a whole masterpiece. And then just coming back up there. Boom. That's my shirt. Looks a bit weird because I didn't draw the rest of my body. Also, the right side is way wider than the left side, but for now that'll do. And then usually shirts have this other thing where you just draw some kind of circle around your neck, like so. Let's see. Better like this. And then make sure that the distance between the two lines is the same everywhere. That looks the most natural. And then finally start adding the shadows to your shirt as well. And then, yeah, this is a part where the sleeve comes in. And you can usually distinct the sleeve from the rest of the shirt by drawing a bit of shadow on it. To see that the sleeve is starting there, that works. There's a lot of different ways you can do that, but this is just a simple example. There we go. Okay, so this is my tutorial on how to draw a realistic version of yourself in Happy Wheels. I hope you enjoyed it, I hope it helped. As you can see, it is not completely perfect, but I think I'm kind of happy with it. It is pretty okay. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any requests for what I should do in the next tutorial, could be drawing things, could be mechanics in Happy Wheels, could be pretty much anything. Let me know in the comments and I'll help you out. Thanks for watching. If this helped, then please leave a like, share my tutorial, and let others know that I'm doing this so that my audience gets a bit bigger. That would be awesome. Please leave a like. Thanks for watching. Hope you liked this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye.